Okay, so I wanted to explain a couple things about how I create some geometric drawings based on a game called Coriolis, the Great Dart. I've been playing it with a few friends. It's been a lot of fun. I'll explain why I'm really into it. But what I wanted to do is show how I've been making some of in the game, there are these glyphs, these geometric patterns. And so I'll show how I go about doing it. It's kind of related to another hobby that I started a few months ago. So I'll kind of explain a little bit more about why these are in the game and how they work and things like that. But first, let me explain what you'll need. So what we will do is we'll do a couple of examples. I'll start with white paper and pencil, and then we'll move ahead to do like a gold pen or a gold marker on black. So what you want is you want some paper, then you'll want a pencil, and if you're like me, there will be mistakes. Grab an eraser. If you've got a typical standard pencil, make sure you've got a pencil sharpener. One thing that helps me a ton in geometric drawings, I've been doing a lot of like Gothic and medieval and Arabic and Islamic geometry, is a mechanical pencil. This helps a ton to be precise and to make things really, really tight, so that they're actually symmetrical and all that when you make it. Then you'll want a compass, and if you want to do a drawing where you have like a marker, like a gold marker like this to insert, you'll want to get a compass with a pen adapter like this. This like unscrews and you can put in other pencils, other markers. Like I've already got this other compass that has another fine liner marker in it. You can use a compass that already has a lead in it, but you won't be able to get a marker into it. I also highly recommend a compass. As I mentioned, I've been kind of doing other geometric drawings as a hobby. I recommend a compass with a locking wheel like this. You'll get much more precise drawings. A pin here on the end so you can really kind of make an indentation in the paper and make sure that you get a precise and clean center point. Yeah, with this compass in particular, it's made by Stedler. It's got the pen adapter. It's got a wheel for precise movements, and then it can't move with this locking wheel. It also has these buttons that you can press to do like really quick release. So you can do like kind of quick adjustments and then fine grain. But another one like this works as well, a little bit cheaper. Then if you want to do a drawing with another color, like if you wanted to we'll do one of these on black paper, then you'll want to get like a gold or yellow marker. I recommend, if they're really easy to find, the Sharpie metallic set is like $3 or $4. You can find them almost everywhere. I didn't realize it'd be so easy to find. Really easy to find them like at Target or like a bunch of places around. But then there are some other options as well. There's some that are kind of like jelly pens. There are some that are kind of like paint pens that you can kind of shake and then use. Some of them are a little bit more metallic and have like sparkly stuff in them. And then one other thing you can use is stencils. You can use guides like this, where you can have different, it's usually easiest for me when I've got like kind of smaller circles that are a little bit too small to do very well with a compass. You can do circles, and you can also do some others like this that might be triangles or squares or hexagons or things like that. So we will go ahead and get started in a second here, and I will show first how I make one of these example drawings for one of these glyphs. Okay, so I forgot probably one of the most important things. Besides having writing instruments, pens, or pencils, you'll want at least a ruler, and I would recommend, at least for me, it helps me to have a T-square so that I can kind of line things up. So, forgot to mention that, besides the compass and all that, definitely for some of these, it'll be helpful to have a ruler. And I like having one that's transparent so I can kind of see where I'm at and all that kind of stuff. So, now that I've corrected that, let's get started. Okay, so before we start on our first drawing, I'll just show a couple more examples of some of the glyphs that I've done. So in the game that I've been playing with some friends, what I've done is at certain points in this game, it's kind of about like space archaeology. Like imagine you're on another planet, or you find some other civilization and you're trying to understand what's going on there, which I just love because it's kind of like being Indiana Jones in space, and that's hard to beat. So I'll show a couple of these examples here. I've done a couple of the official glyphs from the game that are in one of the adventures, for example. Each one of these means a different thing, one of them being light or life and darkness. I did these a little bit smaller for some of the people in the group, but kind of based on some others in the book. I've done some other larger ones, and some of them are like, I tried to reproduce exactly like as they're in the book, but some of them I did a little bit of improvisation. So here's one, an actual one from the game, from the core book. Another one, larger size. Some of these I just did improvisation with because one of my hobbies, like I mentioned, has been making geometric drawings using compass and ruler. I forgot how much I loved drafting class and geometry in high school. So I've done some improvisation with some of these. I love the way that the light hits some of the gold paint. That's not very good. But I love the way that it looks. The gold or silver or even bronze on this one on black paper, I think was really cool. Done some improvisation with some of the other ones. This one looks like it might be from a clinically insane alien. Some others that I've just kind of like played around with. Here's another one that's from the game. This is maybe one of the easiest ones to draw. But we'll get back to some of these others. But so one of the things that I love about this game, since it's like about space archaeology and things like that, you go about trying to understand some past civilization and what they left behind. And one of the things that happens is you try to go about decoding or deciphering these glyphs and maybe what they mean. And so in the game, as it goes along, as you kind of like go down into these like ruins or tunnels and caves and things like that, you will run into these glyphs, and based on how you might decrypt them and understand them, you can kind of solve puzzles and figure things out. One of the things that I did in the game with our group is that in one of the adventures in the game is called the Black Ziggurat. Inside you find these two glyphs. I'm not going to spoil anything, but by understanding them, certain things can happen in the game, and you'll actually kind of interact with this alien technology, and you might like solve some kind of puzzle. So I'll show you how to do one of these. I'm not sure which one we will do yet, but I will first show how to do one of these on white paper. But yeah, it's a really fun game. I enjoy the fact that it's sci-fi and that most of the stuff in the game is about trying to understand something that is very much not human, something that's very different from our world. It's one of the same reasons that I like things like the movie Arrival or games like Super Metroid or things like that. By the way, you might notice the background of in the background, the music is original music by me. Some of it is from a tape that a friend of mine made that's a love letter to the Metroid franchise, since that music changed my life when I first heard it, when I played it on the Nintendo. And so in the background you'll hear some music that's sci-fi, and it's about dread, and it's about like understanding maybe ruins or technology that you don't understand, because that's what happens in the game Metroid. There are a couple of other tracks in here that I might put in the background that are some of my other music as well. That's maybe other ambient or things like that. So if you want, you can check it out. I don't charge any money for my music, but you can go give it a listen. So you can look up either Burger Smoke or Below the Smoke, and I'll put links in the video. All right, let's make a drawing. Let's do this. Okay, so we will start out just doing pencil on white paper for one of the glyphs that I mentioned that's in the first adventure in the game. This guy right here. We've got some straight lines, we've got a little bit of compass stuff we can do, and then there's some areas here where we can use stencils or we can freehand things, but this is what we're going to do. It's called Ishra, the Glyph of Black. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll leave this up here as kind of like a little reminder to myself about how I did it. I'm not going to make it perfect or anything like that. Actually, I'll put it over here. I'm not going to make it perfect, but I think what's fun about this is just kind of like starting, and maybe there'll be like a happy accident along the way. So yeah, let me go ahead and get started. I'm going to use my mechanical pencil, and I'm going to start with just kind of getting like a rough center point on this paper. So I'm going to, this is 9-inch paper. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of spot with my T-square. So it's like roughly like the middle of this. I think it's right about there. So we're gonna start, and I'm going to start my first circle with the compass. I'll open up the pen adapter and throw this guy in. And I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this and see what kind of a circle I want to make based on this other example. I'll do about like that size, I think. And move this a tiny bit more. And all right, so I'll just put down my point of my compass. And this lead is really, really fine, so I gotta be careful not to break it. And holding it down, I'm not the best at doing this, you'll notice. This is a new hobby for me, but it's I definitely make some mistakes like that. Okay, so we've got our first circle, we've got our first point, and I like to really, based on a couple of really cool YouTubers and people online that I've learned some of this stuff from, or kind of relearned some of this from, I'll put some links to their channels as well. I'll try it as we go. I'll give some of the pointers they give, and one of those is to really, anytime you're going to use one of these points multiple times, to press it in and get a good indentation. Okay, so we've got that started. Next, we will add some horizontal lines coming out to the side of that. And again, I'll use the T-square so that I can just, if I slide it up and down the paper, I can just really easily get a really easy way to get keep my 90-degree angles. And I'm going to just kind of eyeball this and not even measure it all that much. I'm going to do like roughly 1.5 inches out this way, and roughly 1.5 inches out this way. And we've got that first point. I'll then use the T-square starting from the bottom. And again, I'm just going to eyeball this kind of from looking at the other one. I'm going to go through this center point in the middle here, and I'm going to add a little bit of a line there. And again, eyeball it where the other circle is going to go. I'll add another vertical line there. Great. And then starting from the circle, I'm going to go down to about there and leaving some room for some of the rest of that pattern. So we've got our start to a little bit of that. Now, I'm going to try to, I like in this drawing that a bunch of these circles are the same size kind of around here. So I'm going to set this once and then hopefully get what I want. What I should have done probably is made a mark here as far as where the center point is, because I want that circle to be right in the middle there. Can we pause this for a second? Okay, so I was freehanding this, leaving that space. I didn't measure how far it is, but that's exactly 1 inch. That's kind of funny. So let me go ahead and make a mark here for that center point. Okay, that's where I'm going to have my center point for this first circle. I'm going to set my compass to that point, and like I said, kind of push it in here a little bit so we get a good spot to work from. So the compass will do all the work. We don't have to be as careful with it. All right, that's decent for our first circle there. And then the other thing I did not do is I did not. These circles don't. The lines don't connect. The horizontal lines. And of course, we can do this however we want, right? We're making art and having fun. But I'm going to try to draw this like this. This is actually one of the things that's a little bit more interesting and challenging about these glyphs compared to some of the other geometric drawings that I've done, is that some geometric drawings, like in some Islamic geometry or in some Gothic or medieval drawings, all your lines connect, and so you don't have these gaps where you might need to measure and try to figure out what you want to do in between. But with these, I kind of like that there are some things like that, so they kind of give some extra challenges. Okay, so we've got that now in place, and we'll come back and we'll maybe add a stencil with these other circles. You'll notice in this, I'm terrible at using the stencils. This kind of looks like garbage. I didn't get them lined up as well. I feel like I actually do a better job with a compass. But let's come back. We'll add this horizontal line here on this part. Let me line this up again. Yeah, that's still 4.5 inches there. So we'll do like 1.5 inches on either side. Make that vertical bar. Cool. And then we'll do another little bit here. This goes down. I'm gonna make this about 1 centimeter long and 1 centimeter long. This is very precise, very scientific, right? All right, cool. Oh, and then one other thing I didn't realize I should add here is this glyph drops a vertical line down below. So I'm gonna go like this, and again, I'm just gonna freehand it. I'm gonna make this look how I kind of want it to look, and so that guy will connect like that. Okay. All right. So from here, you could do a couple of different things for these other circles. You could try to do these with a compass. I don't think I can. I don't think my hands are dexterous enough to do that. So you can do these with stencils. So whether you're using a pencil like I am right now, or markers or whatever, I'm going to grab a couple stencils here that I'll use to kind of imagine filling these in. I'm not great at using these, so I'm just going to use these crosshairs here. I'm just going to mostly line it up. I usually do these kind of fast, and in the end they usually turn out to be like fairly decent. So we'll just like draw a circle there, and then let's see, I want to inscribe a circle in the middle of there. I'll mostly get the crosshairs, same size over here. As Bob Ross would say, we'll put this happy little circle right there. We'll put another happy little circle right about here. Yeah, that's where he wants to be. All right. And then I'm going to use a different size circle for this little top part. This one's open on this glyph. We'll leave that open. And then down here below, these circles look like they're all mostly the same size. So I'll just pick a size here for a couple of those homies. So you can kind of throw on a couple of circles like that. I'll add this open one down here, and then using the same size, do that, and like that. All right, cool. All right, so it's a quick little example about how to do one of these with pencil. I would recommend, before trying out things like markers and other pens and inks, which you can't erase. Also, with a marker like this, it's really easy to touch the paper, and even if you don't realize you're too close, I've made a lot of mistakes on these with some errant lines and things like that, which is fine by me, but it's also really fun, because I'm a nerd, it's really fun to try to make these as precise as possible. I don't know, to me, for geometry, when it's like precise is one of the most pleasing things in the world. So I try to be precise as I can, but yeah, definitely. As they might say, mistakes were made. And more mistakes will be made in this video, so buckle up. All right, so let's go ahead and do something like this again. I didn't really finish this one out. I just kind of wanted to show the technique. We're going to do this on black paper. I'll show a couple things on black paper. I'll also show my my test drive of a bunch of different markers and pens, because I really wanted to try to nail the gold on black aesthetic of this book. It instantly went to the pleasure center of my brain, and so I'll show a little A/B test with a few of those things. And also, it's a good time for me to hit stop because we're about to get a delivery. Okay, so we're gonna take what we did here, and we're gonna try to replicate this again with gold on black. So I've tried out a few different kinds of black paper so far. There are a couple of different styles of black paper from this brand, Canson or Canson. Je n'ai aucune idée si ça c'est vraiment français ou quelque chose d'autre. Je n'ai aucune idée. I also don't know if Mutant. I don't know if this means is a French company. Not sure. But anyway, I've tried this one and I enjoy it. This is it's nice to get like a heavier paper for something like this. I think it looks better. It takes on the gold ink or silver ink a little bit better. I've tried a few others. I tried some others that were from like a actually it's not this one. A few others that were from like a relatively cheap like gift shop or like stationery shop that you might see in like an airport or like at the mall or something like that. And some of them were not very great, but yeah, if you get actual art grade paper, goes a long way. And something a little bit heavier will be nice. It is a little bit expensive. Not as cheap as like a bunch of bulk pads like this, but I'm really enjoying this, so it's a lot of fun. So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to go ahead and get kicked off and do something like this here. Now, one thing I haven't decided on about one part of my process is whether or not when I move to black paper, whether or not I might actually do a pencil sketch first. If you draw on this black paper with pencil, you're not going to see it really well, and so you can go either way. But what I've been doing for myself is kind of a challenge, because I'm a nerd, is I've been trying to not use pencil at all and go straight to the black paper with marker, which is I think is kind of fun, kind of a fun challenge. But at the same time, like I said, mistakes were made, and we're going to deal with it. So we're going to do this again, and we're going to go ahead and find our center point on this paper. This paper, again, okay, we've got 9 inches across here. I'm going to make a center point about, or actually it's not quite a center point. I'm going to make this a little bit higher, right about there. That's going to be our first point to start with the compass. And kind of an exciting feeling when you get gold paint down on black paper for the first time. I just love the way that it looks. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get ready, and we're gonna swap out the mechanical pencil for the gold marker. All right, so I'll take my nicer compass here. I'm gonna keep using this one. I'm gonna take out the mechanical pencil, and I'm gonna leave the cap on on this for a second, and figure out how far I want this to go with my marker. Oh wait, maybe I think I might have to do this from the other side. Okay. Whoops. Pause. Okay, I'm glad I stopped the video, because that was embarrassing how long that took me to get that little piece of plastic back on here with the pen adapter with my stubby fingers and fat hands. So not easy to get that back on here, but we're ready to rock and roll again. So by the way, if anyone has any other recommendations for other good compasses, or is it compi? I don't know the plural. Let me know. This Staedtler that I mentioned with the pen adapter and the locking wheel and the quick release, I like. But as I've been getting more into the hobby, I would love any leads on any like older vintage compasses or things like that. So if anyone has any recommendations, let me know. Not monetizing a YouTube channel here or anything like that, but leave a comment, and I'd love to hear about it. So, okay, so I think I've got this opened up to about the right size. I'm going to take the lid off here, because one of the trickiest things, as I just remembered on camera, is that with this particular compass and with a marker this fat, I have to take the cap off and then throw it on like that. So let's go ahead and get started. What I try to do is I try to get with a marker like this, I try to get this down as far as I can, so that hopefully this is close to even with the compass, just a little bit easier to navigate. Let's see. I don't know what size I want this to be yet. Just looking over here, I did this one a little bit smaller. I'm gonna make it about that size. It's not gonna be identical to the other one, but like a snowflake. That will make the difference. Okay, now I've already accidentally made a mark on the paper that I wasn't planning on. And that is the magic of live television, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Okay, so not the smoothest of circles already. But maybe this one will be a little bit like the movie Arrival, where that's going to look a little bit more like an ink blot than a clean line. All right, so we've got that started, and now we can go ahead, and I'm going to now one thing that you might want to do, as I've realized, is I ended up buying a second set of these markers so that I could leave this one in the compass, and then I could use another one with the straight lines, so that I don't have to try to use this as a writing tool at the same time. I have done that, and I've stabbed myself a couple of times, and I've made some mistakes on the paper. So I'm gonna go grab my other one, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my other gold metallic marker that I'll use for some ruler work and stencil work. By the way, besides that gold, these Sharpie metallics come in, it sounds like I'm a Sharpie advertisement right now. They're not, but I was glad these are so cheap. My wonderful wife has been very, very patient with the fact that I've been going nuts with this hobby, and I just keep buying probably more stuff than I need, but I've really been enjoying it. In some of the packs you get, like besides gold, you get like silver, or some of them are like a silver and a bronze. The bronze is actually like pretty cool, but those are also part of the Sharpie metallics. So, all right, let's go ahead and we're gonna use our T-square. I'm gonna leave this just with the cap off, YOLO, right? And I'm going to start on our next lines. And I think the way that I did this before is that I use my T-square here. Yep, I'm lined back up with that center point. You can actually see the hole that I made. You can see the hole, and it's through the gold. I think I did, yeah, this is a different size. So what I'm going to do, since that's the center point, I'm going to go from that point and out another inch. And since this marker is a little bit bigger, I'm going to slide that down just a tiny little bit. And I don't care if I get some of the marker, some of the ink on my ruler. All right, then I'm going to start from the bottom again. And as you go, you might lift up the ruler, and just by lifting it up, you might like drag some ink across. And this is where it gets to be like a little bit more interesting. It's like I've been doing some of these geometric drawings for a few months now after getting back, kind of being interested in it again. And this is so different than using pencil. Okay, I'm gonna go roughly like that. And this time I'm probably gonna measure before we go forward to make sure that I can get this right for the gap that's gonna go in between here. I'll draw the line now, but I'll come back and measure. I'll make that one a little bit, yeah, leave a little bit of space like that. And then this guy dropped down to somewhere near the bottom of the paper here. Just right up there. Bob Ross would be okay with it. All right. Okay, and again, I'm gonna slowly move my ruler away. Trying to be more careful on this video than when I actually make these drawings. Okay, so from here, we're gonna go back and draw some circles again. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna measure, I want these 3 circles that go here, here, and here to be roughly the same size, so I'm going to measure this. Last time on pencil, it was an inch. It's an inch again. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, to quote my brother-in-law, you can't teach that. All right. I wasn't planning on that, but now's the time to brag on the internet so that people can say that I'm a jackass in the comments. All right, there we go. Okay, let's do it. Let's set up our compass to go to that point. And let's see, I'm going to rotate this so that I can kind of see this a little bit better. Okay, my point is there. I'm going to use my wheel. I'm going to push this in really far. I'm going to bring this in just a tiny little bit because that ink kind of extends. I'm pushing that compass hard again because I do not want to mess up this circle, not in front of this wonderful television audience. And voilà, et voilà. Alors c'est magnifique, c'est vraiment, oh, realmente es muy impresionante lo que dijo. Okay. All right, now we're gonna use the same over here, and I'm just gonna roughly, I could go grab a ruler right now and, you know, draw this out and put where my center point is going to be. But I'm gonna trust my process here, trust my gut, and say that I'm gonna drop this circle right here. And the more times you go around, it's risky. Rolling the dice. May not, might make a mistake. Your compass might come out of the spot here, and might miss that circle for all of YouTube to see. All the 2 or 3 people who watch a grown-ass man draw fake hieroglyphics for a fictional game. All right, so we've got our circles there. Before I come back in and do these stencils, I'm going to do the stencils last. I'm going to, kind of coming back to this guy, I'm going to add in my horizontal bars and that. All right, so I'm going to grab my T-square again, and we've got our midpoint. Oh, the line's a little bit off there. That's not exactly 4.5 inches, but we're going to say it's good enough for government work. And okay, that's 4.5. I'm gonna go from 3 to 6 on my ruler across right there. A little bit off. Oh, you can see, did you see that? You can see the ink actually bleed underneath the ruler. And now we have an artifact where this looks like it might have actually been from an earlier civilization. That's what we're going to call it when I don't get a clean line like that. That's what we're going to say. All right. Now, I'm going to do this kind of roughly like what I did before. I'm going to go like about, I'm going to go like 1.5 centimeters. And drop a, oh, I went a little bit more than 1.5 centimeters. I'm going to have to try to replicate that on the other side. It's probably like 1 3/4. I think I did 1 3/4. Okay. Jeez, yeah, that's not going to be very accurate, but we're going to live with it. We're going to deal with it. We're going to use this as a moment of vulnerability and resilience. Okay, one of the things before I draw in the circles is at least in this guy, there's another vertical line that connects these two, where it's the same vertical line that goes through, but it's disconnected. So I'm going to go ahead and try to line this up. I'm using my T-square again from the bottom of the page. I'm going to line it up with the center hole and try to line it up to make sure that all the rest looks mostly in line, mostly accurate. Oh, let's make sure I should probably rip off this stuff off the top. It gets in the way of the T-square. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, just like Bob Ross, let that little line live right there. All right. Okay. Now, the last things here are just circles that are kind of smaller. And so I'm going to use stencils. And you'll see that I'm going to do this fast and loose. I'm going to grab this guy. I can't remember where I did this one like really, really accurately to like almost exactly what's in the book. But I'm just going to go quickly here and just kind of like drop in a filled in circle. Now I find this to be very satisfying. This is not an ASMR video or any kind of like creepy stuff like that, but like I really enjoy with these metallic markers. I really enjoy filling in and kind of watching the light change as I'm filling in with these metallic markers. Et voilà, carefully, et la lumière fut. All right, we're gonna throw that on there, and then I'm gonna make all these the same size as well. The filled in circles on here. Roughly line this up. It's not gonna be perfect. You can see my compass hole remains. And I'm gonna eyeball that as well. As my neighbor comes by, it looks like he's trying to get my attention outside. I'm going to tell him I've got very important things happening right now. And here. All right. Now, Oh, yeah, that's not quite perfect, but we leave it be. All right, so again, here's the one that where I try to make this like kind of like exactly like the book, but we are going to make this our own. This circle here is like a little bit smaller than the others. It might be hard to use my marker right there, but we're gonna do it. Just scribble that on. Not bad, not bad. Again, like my brother-in-law, you can't teach that. All right, and I'm going to throw in these circles here. And oh, which size did I do? I did that one. Fill that in. Yeah, it's really pleasant seeing that like gold take life on the page. And oh, I did that maybe a little bit too close to that line. I want some separation there so those don't connect. I'm going to move that down and start the circle a little bit lower. And finally, there's an open circle here on the bottom of this. And this I made way too. This is mostly going to go off the page. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it slightly. I'm going to make this circle a little bit different size. And I'm going to put it right there. Oh, it's just barely an open circle. Okay, that's what happens when you improv. It's not going to be quite as good as that. Now, yeah, so from here, that's mostly what that glyph is. You can definitely improvise and add some other stuff in here if you like. You can always use like a T-square, and you know, if you wanted to add some other ornamentation, you could just use your T-square and add a couple of like horizontal lines above and below this part, and you can just kind of see what that looks like. You can add other circles. You can add, I went crazy there. You can add some other highlights. Like one of the things that I think that can be kind of interesting is, you know, taking this circle and then making another one just on the inner part of that. And you don't have to make a full circle. You could, if you wanted to, allow that to just be an arc that goes to about there, eyeballing it. So those are a few ideas about how to take this to paper. Okay, so this video, for this particular glyph where we did some improv, but starting from one of the others, it doesn't require kind of like leveling up on some other skills that are required to do some of the other glyphs in the game. So I'm going to now take a moment to explain some of the other kind of tricks, or, you know, there's not going to be math on this quiz, but for some of the other glyphs in the game, you actually do a little bit of geometry. And so this one was easy for me because I've been doing other geometric drawings like this recently, where the principle that we see here is you start with a circle, and then with this circle, you can think about how you would take the next step in a couple of different ways. One would be how to inscribe an equilateral triangle in a circle, but otherwise the other easier way to think about this is how to break up a circle into 3 equal parts. Instead of thinking about the triangle, just think about, like, if you've got your circle drawn, how do you get these points here, and then you draw your triangle. So it's pretty easy if you look online for any one of the following recipes, like divide a circle into 3 equal parts, 4 equal parts, 5 equal parts, 6, 8, whatever. It's really helpful, as I've learned a little bit more in drafting and in engineering and carpentry, for example, to be able to have those skills. And so hopefully I'll be able to apply those in some other ways. But with this one, the way I would start this is with a circle in the middle. Remember, and I can't remember right now, how to divide a circle into 3 parts. It's a little bit easier when you do like 4 or 6 or other things like that. But how do you do things like that? There are a few resources that I think are really helpful. Besides looking online, I found this great book on Amazon. It's like $5, I think, for the ebook copy. And this book, Ruler and Compass, is exactly what its title suggests. It shows you how to use a ruler and compass for a bunch of these common, typical use cases, like how to divide up a circle into certain a certain number of segments, things like that. So this one, for example, I think this one starts right off and shows some of these triangles and how to inscribe hexagons for like 6 equal parts or 3 equal parts and things like that, and how you would use your compass to do that. I would recommend with these kinds of exercises starting with pencil on kind of normal paper as you do this, because you make a bunch of marks along the way with your compass and you want to be able to erase them. Perhaps after you do it on with pencil first, you could come back and then get it dialed in for exactly your measurements once you go to pen, before you start using like ink or paint or something like that. But yeah, this book is great. If you even like just a little bit of geometry, and if you haven't used the word rhombus for a while, this is your moment that you can get back into that rhombus lifestyle. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to the next segment of what we want to talk about. All right, so I'll end with talking a little bit about the game and why I enjoy, learning about the glyphs for this game made this game even more interesting to me. But before we do that, I did some tests with some various materials. I tried out some watercolor pencils on black to see what would happen. It was interesting. They just kind of like smear and end up being different colors. There are some other cool gold and metallic kind of colors that you can get. This Jelly Roll pen was really not bad at all. Also very cheap. It's kind of got some sparkles in there, and you can make some even thinner lines than what you can do with a Sharpie. Like I said, the Sharpie metallics have been my favorite for getting helping you to get really precise but thick lines where I get a lot of paint on, or a lot of the material on the paper, so that when I see it in the light, it definitely looks metallic. It definitely looks like it's kind of its own thing. I tried a few others as well. I tried some paint pens, some paint markers from Sharpie and from some other brands that are either yellow or orange. There's a really cool kind of shake marker that you can use. I think it's called pen touche. That is a fine tip that you shake, and it actually has paint inside of it. You can make some really, really cool lines with this, and you can layer it on and make some really cool metallic looks. You can almost put on enough ink where it kind of raises off the paper a little bit. It's a little bit raised. And then there are a couple of other pens that I've tried as well. I can't read my own writing here, but there's some others that have some interesting results. I didn't like these as much. So I would say, as far as gold, my winners are the Sharpie Gold, the Jelly Roll, and the pen touche. And the pen touche is probably the funnest to work with. All right, so so I want to talk just a little bit about why I've been enjoying this game so much. I don't play a lot of role-playing games. I've only done a couple in my life, and I usually think, they're, I don't know. I myself have had the stigma that role-playing games are nerdy, but since I am a nerd, I guess I can accept it. So I played with some friends the Blade Runner game. A friend of mine, Dave, got this game, and he said, please play it with me. We played it. It was fantastic. This game from Free League is a wonderfully fun game. It has a bunch of case file information here where you get handouts, you get photos, you inspect, maybe a crime scene or try to figure something out. And for me, that made the game experience so much more fun when we interacted with something around a table together. So after that, I learned about Coriolis just in the last few months. I've got the main book as well as this campaign, The Flowers of Algorab, which I believe means something in Arabic, but I won't say it in case it spoiled anything in the game. It's got a really bunch of really fun like handout stuff in the game as well, where people can take that information, try to interpret it as a group. You know, maybe you'll be right, maybe you'll be wrong, but you'll, you know, have some fun at the table with people, with your friends, trying to figure something out together. And we are just about to start this one, but I love that it's got handouts in the game, that it's got maps and things like that to interact with, so you know, kind of start immersing yourself in this. And that's, I think it's because of both the fact that I was already doing some geometric drawings of some other things, that as soon as I saw this in Coriolis, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to draw some of these myself just to see what does gold marker look like on black paper. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll just go ahead and make handouts for the players of the game as we're playing it, so that they kind of have this artifact or this reminder of what they learned, the new knowledge that they gained in this, you know, space archaeology game. Maybe it's something that I enjoy more than them, but I thought it was really fun to be able to have something that's like a tangible thing, that's like something that happened from this story that we are creating together. So yeah, so for these guys, I just kind of like took one of these drawings, took a paper like this, cut it up into fourths, and then just replicated this over and over again. I have to say, it's a lot harder to draw some of these drawings smaller than it is to draw them bigger, because you don't have a lot of room for some of these. Your compass has to be like really small. I think I might have used a stencil on this one, but the smaller it is, in my experience, the easier it is to make a mistake, because, you know, in general, if you've got like fine instruments and a lot of paper, I don't think it's as easy to see some of the differences and some of the mistakes. So yeah, I hope that this video was useful. I hope that some people might either be interested in art or geometry or in a sci-fi game like this. Did I mention in the game you get a bird? And the bird is a companion for the group. And that I started a little bit of a holy war online by this sacrilegious comment that maybe a group could play with more than one bird. I don't know, that sounds like fun. Maybe we shouldn't do it, right? No, make this game your own and do what you and your group and your friends want to do. But yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with this game. I love the setting. I love that so much of it is kind of its own unique flavor of sci-fi. I love that in this book there's a lot of themes in here that are more related to the Middle East than the Western world. I love that there are terms and concepts in this book and in its themes that come from Arabic, that oftentimes when you talk about a market or a place where you might go and do shopping and things like that, that it's called a souk, or that there are some other things that are that might come from Arabic, and you know, like the name of the campaign. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that some people found it to be helpful, and if there are any other resources that would be helpful, make sure to share them with the rest of us.